Hello everyone. So I'm going to tell you about the core modules of Fedena today. Core modules are the basic functionality that is there in Fedena. And then we have add-on modules, which is the extra functionality. So today in the span of next 1 to 2 hours, we are going to cover the core modules in Fedena. So let me just tell you who all can log in Fedena. That would be the admin. So admin is the one who takes care of all the settings in Fedena. Then we have the employees. Employees would be the teachers, the librarians, the head of departments, etc. for your institution. Then we have students, and then we have the parents of the students. So for the first time, admin must log in, because admin is the one who is going to do all the settings. Admin is the one who is going to admit other users in Fedena. So let me log in as an admin. By default, the username for your school would be admin, and the password would be admin123. So when you log in, this is the first screen that you get. This is known as the dashboard of the admin. So you can see here these boxes that you see. Each of these boxes is known as a dashlet. And each dashlet is giving you some information about your institution. For example, what all examinations are there for today. Since I already have some data, so it is showing me who all are the absent students for today. I can even see it for another date. So all these dashlets, they can be managed by going to this button here, Manage Dashlets. And what all you want to see, you can tick here. What all you do not want to appear on your dashboard, you can untick from here and save it. So this is about dashlets. After that, you will see that Fedena is divided into a good number of functionalities, and each functionality is put under a heading. For example, academics, collaboration, data and reports, and administration. So these are the 4 tabs that you will see, and you will get some functionalities under each tab. So for the first time, admin has to go to administration and do some settings. So he has to click on this settings. And here, he has to click on this general settings. Now, if your school is new, it means that if you're using Fedena for the first time, all this will be empty. So you'll have to fill it. I put some data. I'll tell you what is that data. So I'm asking here, what is the school or the college name? So you have to give an appropriate name, address, and the phone number. Then attendance type can be of 2 types. So it depends on your institution. If your institution is taking attendance daily, once in the morning and once in the afternoon, you can select here daily. Otherwise, if it is taking based on the number of subjects each day, then you can select subject-wise. Then you have financier start and end date, which denotes the fiscal year that your institution follows. So that can be selected appropriately here. Then you have the starting receipt number. Starting receipt number is what is going to appear on the income that you get using Fedena. So in Fedena, for example, you can collect fees from the students. When you collect fees, it is a kind of an income. And you are going to get receipts for the fees that you collect. Receipt or a slip. So for that receipt, a number will be showing on that receipt, which will be unique to a student. So that is the starting number. So for the second student, if he is paying the fees, on his receipt, the number will be HCHTWO02. For the third student, 03, and so on. Then you have language, time zone, and country. This depends on where you are, where your institute is, so you can change it accordingly. Then you have the type of currency. Again, it depends on what currency type is being followed in the country that you are in. Then you have precision count. So precision count is after decimal. How many digits do you want to see in the financial transactions in Fedena? So I'm giving here 2. It would mean 10.12 would be shown. If I give here 3, it would mean 10.123. So accordingly, we can set it. We can upload the logo of the institution. So it is going to appear in all the reports, in all the transactions, in all the receipts of the school. Then we have grading systems. So grading systems are that are followed by Fedena are ICSE, CC, CW and GPA. ICSE is followed in India. CC is followed in India and some countries abroad. CWA is course weighted average. And GPA is grade point average. If your grading system is only the average and the percentages of the marks, then you do not have to select any of the grading system here. If you do not select any grading system, it means your institute follows normal grading system. Normal grading system is averages and percentages. No other calculation for credit hours like we have in GPA and CWA and in CCE. Then we have enable auto increment student and employee admission number. So this is like you can admit a student once and assign him an admission number. Let's say user 001. If you want it to be auto incremented the next time you admit a student or an employee, similarly for the employee, then you can tick these two here. So they will automatically come auto incremented, though you can change it if you want to. Then you have enable news comment moderation. So we have news module in Fedena where anyone can comment. Now if you want to moderate those comments or if you want to approve them before anyone else can see it, you can tick this. So the admin will be able to approve the comments. Then enable sibling. So enable sibling would mean that when I'm admitting a student in Fedena, it is going to ask me, do you want to attach this sibling to a sibling, attach this student to a sibling that is already in Fedena? So I can do that. And enable first time login change password. This would mean that as and when I create, let's say an employee, and the employee is logging in using his credentials, he'll be asked to change his password because he's logging in for the first time. Similarly for the student. So these all are the general settings that you find in Fedena. After you've done them, the next thing is to manage course and batch. So let me tell you first what are courses, and then I'm going to tell you what are batches. So courses would be, let's say you are a school. In that case, the courses would be grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 and so on. Another nomenclature, some schools they use class 1, class 2. Some schools they use standard 1, standard 2 and so on. So that is a course. So grade 1 I have created here. This is a course. Now what is a batch inside a course? A batch inside a course would be, let's say grade 1 is a course. So a batch would be A 2014-15, denoting academic year. So A 2014-15. Next year in the same course I will have A 2015-16 and so on. So this A is just a group that I'm creating. You can have B 2014-15. So actually you are going to admit students in a batch. So this A 2014-15 is going to have a set of students. B 2014-15 is going to have a set of students in grade 1. So let me show you how to create a course for a school. So you have to give the course name. So let me give, like, let's say I'm using the standard nomenclature. So let's say it's standard 3. In case you are a school, you need not fill in this section name. It is not required. So I can give here some code, let's say S3. This code will be very useful. We'll see it later on, where is this used. And then the grading system that is applicable for this standard. So if for this standard, I can select from a set of grading systems. They should be ticked in general settings. And then only they are going to be appearing here. Then enable elective selection would mean that for the students that I'm going to admit in this standard 3, I can allow them to choose their own subjects. So if you want to allow them, you can tick it, otherwise untick it. And the batch would be A 2014, denoting that it started in 2014. You can also give it like A 2014-15 for the academic year. And then you can give the start and end date of the batch. So once you've done this, let me save it. It is going to come like this, standard 3. It's a course. Standard 3 is a course. And what does it have? It has a batch, A 2014. And see the nomenclature here. It is code of the course dash batch. So the full batch name would be code of the course, which is S3 dash A 2014. And when I click on this, if I would have admitted any students, they would come here. After this, I'm going to tell you how to admit students as well. So this is just one example that I've given you. Now let's say you are in a university. In case you are a college or a university, your courses names would be like BTech, Computer Science Engineering, or Mechanical Engineering. So this would be the name of the course in that case. So you have to give here Mechanical Engineering. Section would be Semester 1. So in case of colleges and universities, you need to take care of section. So your course name would be Mechanical Engineering. Section would be Semester 1. Code would be ME Sem 1. Grading system generally for engineering courses is GPA. So you can select that. If you would have ticked from general settings, it will come here. If there is any optional subjects for the students and you want the students to choose them themselves, you can tick this. And name would again be A 2014. So let me just save it. And it is going to appear like this. Mechanical Engineering Semester 1. So this is the course now. Why am I putting course like this is because the next year I'll again have Semester 1, which will be A 2015. So I can copy the subjects between the batches because same semesters in different years will have same subjects. That is why I'm creating course like this. So now if you have to create another university course, it would be Mechanical Engineering Semester 2. In that you will have A 2014, A 2015 for the next year. Let's assume that. You can have it for previous years as well, A 2013, A 2012 and so on. So this is how you should create courses for schools and universities. Then you have this manage batch. This only gives you, this is only going to show you who all students are there, if any. So let me just select the one that already has some students. So I'm going to click on this and it is going to show me the list of the students in that batch. So this is about managing courses and batches according to Fedena. Next thing that after that we've added courses and batches, the next thing that we should do is add the subject. So I'm going to select the subject. So let's say this, I'm going to select the batch. So let's say the batch is S3A 2014. So in this batch, I'm going to add normal subjects and electives. Normal subjects are the mandatory subjects that all the students of this batch are going to study. So let me add a normal subject. It is asking for the name of the subject. So let's say it is mathematics. What is the code? Just a nickname for that name. And how many maximum weekly classes should be there for mathematics. This is later on going to help us in creating timetable. If you do not want to have exam, if you do not want to conduct exam for this course, you can tick it here. So this examination part will be affected in Fedena if you tick this. So let me save it. So this is how you create normal subject. Let me add one more. And then we have elective. So first I'm going to add an elective group. It's something like I'm going to create a group, and in this group I'm going to add some subjects which we'll call as elective subjects. Now students can choose the electives if you have enabled that for them by this date. So this date automatically comes. It is 1 week from now. So let me save it, and now let me add elective subjects in this. So let me say some languages. Let's say Spanish is there. That is an elective subject. Then we have, let's say, French. That is another elective subject, and so on. I can have electives. What does this mean is that students can assign themselves either to Spanish or to French or to both. And not only the students, even the admin can assign a student from this link, assign student. So now if I look at the structure of this subjects for this batch that I just created, it's going to look like this. So we have two normal subjects which are mandatory subject, and we have one elective group called languages which is having two subjects to which I can assign students from here. Since I have not added students, I cannot assign them right now. After this, I'm going to tell you how to add students. So after you've done this, the next step is to add the students. But before adding student, there is two settings that are to be done. The first one is managing the student category. So here, you should be creating student categories based on the fees that you want to assign to the student. For example, let's say there is a discount that you want to give for the students who are staff's children. Let's assume this is the scenario. In that case, you should create a category called staff's child or staff's children, give it any name, and when you admit the student, it is going to ask you to which category does that student belong. So what we are doing is, we are categorizing the students based on their fee structure. So this should be done for the students, for all the students that you admit in Fedena. You can create few categories and you can put them, while admitting them, you can put them in either of the categories. One student can belong to only one category in Fedena. After you've done that, the next second prior important thing to be done before admitting a student is to add his admission additional details. This means actually in Fedena you are going to get an admission form that is going to have a fixed number of fields. Now if you want to take some extra information from the student when he is getting admitted, so you can create those fields and they are going to appear in the admission form. For example, I have created this field called passport. So what I've done is I've given the name as passport, status as active. Here status means, do you want to get it appeared in the admission form? So you can select it as active. If you want it to be a mandatory field, you can select this. And then what is the input method? Is it a text box? Is it a drop down? Is it a checkbox? Or is it a text area? So these four options will be available for you. So in this way, you can add additional details and they will be appearing in the form of the student when we enter the form. So I was telling you about passport. So this is what I have selected for passport. In the same way, if you want the PAN number, this is how you do it. Now what will happen, this passport and PAN number is going to appear along with the CIN, is going to appear in the student admission form. So now let me tell you how to admit a student. So I'm going to go to students here. From academics, you can go to students and student admission. And this form will appear. Now for the first time, admission number will be empty. So you can give some admission number, let's say user 001, and it will be auto incremented for the next admissions that you do. You can set the admission date. It can be a past date, future date, or today. So let me give some name here. And now it is asking, where do you want to put this student? In which batch do you want to put this student? So batches, the batch where you want to put the student should be selected. So let me put him here. What is the date of birth? All the other details should be filled. So this is the category that I was telling you about. So category of the student has to be selected so that later on I'll be able to give discounts based on categories. All the other details should also be filled. So the second step is, it is asking for the sibling of this child. So if this student has a sibling, which is already there in Fedena, you can search him here like this. If you're entering the student for the first time in Fedena, of course there will be no other student, so you can skip this. So it is going to ask you for the parent details. So just give some parent details. The first name of the parent, what is the relationship with that parent, and the other details should also be filled. So it is showing you that you can add one more guardian if you want. So you can add the mother of this student or any more guardians that you want to. Once you have done it, it is from the guardians, from the list of guardians that you've added, it is going to ask you which one should be able to log in Fedena. Since I already have one here, so I'm saying that this parent should be able to log in Fedena for this student. So after you've done this, the profile, it is asking for previous educational details. So let's say if that student that I'm just entering is coming from grade 1 and you are putting him in grade 2. So grade 1 details, grade 1, where he studied grade 1, what was his total marks, what was the year of passing, what was the name of course, which means grade 1. All these details can be put here. You can even add subjects. So if you want to add subject details, you can add it. Then you can see it is asking for additional details, the ones that are just created. And the mandatory ones, I will have to fill them. So the profile of the student is created. And now how the student will be able to log in Fedena? Using the admission number, which is user 66. And by default, the password of any student would be his admission number followed by 123. So for this user, for this student, he can log in his Fedena by username as user66 and password as user66123. So username is admission number and password is admission number followed by 123. So I'm logging in as that newly created student. So this is user 66, this is user 66123. Since I have set in general settings, I have ticked enable first time login change password. It is asking me to change it. So this is how the student, once his profile is created by the admin, can log in Fedena. And here you will see this. This is choosing an elective because I put him in a batch where elective option was there. So this is internal messaging system in Fedena. Let me log in back as admin. So this is how you enter students. Next thing is student details. So if you know the name of the student, you have to type the first 3 letters and all those students who have the first 3 letter matching in their name will be appearing like this. You can click on which one do you want to see the profile of and it is going to open the profile. Another way of searching student or employee is in this search bar. So here you can write the same thing and select search students. So it is going to appear like this. Then we can even get some reports based on students. So you have to go to this advanced link that you see here. And let's say you want all the male students of the school. So you're not selecting any course batch, it means all over. So here it is going to give you the list of all the students, all the male students. You can even filter it by a batch. If you want to see for a particular batch, you can select that. So all these filters you can apply and accordingly you'll get a report list of students who follow that criteria that you've selected here. So this is about admission of the student. The next thing that I'm going to tell you about, which is the remaining thing in settings, is SMS module. Now you can send SMS from Fedena to its users. For the first time, you have to do settings in the admin panel of your Fedena. So accounts.fedena.com, you'll have a username, you'll have a password, you'll have to enter that. And you'll have to go to company. And in company, on the left hand side, you'll see SMS. You have to click on that. and add the settings that your third-party provider is going to provide you. Once you've added the settings properly, let's assume that the settings are correct. You have to come to this configuration, SMS module, and SMS settings will appear. Now you have to enable the SMS settings for Fedena. So you have to tick this here and click on update. So it is giving you these options. So student admission, exam scheduling and result, attendance and events. For the first 4 that I just said, automatic SMS is sent in Fedena. What does it mean? If I'm admitting a student in Fedena, and while admitting the student in the mobile field, I have entered his mobile number correctly. Similarly for his parent. Then after the student is successfully admitted, automatic SMS will be sent to the student saying that you have been admitted to this batch and your credentials are this and this. Similarly for the 3, exam scheduling and result, attendance and events. For the last 3 that you see, manual SMS can be sent from Fedena. So we can send it to parents, students or employees. So once you have done this and once you go back, you will see that all these links start appearing, which were not appearing earlier. So this is for manual SMS sending to students. So you have to select a batch. The student whose mobile number is filled in his profile will be appearing. You can write the message and send the message. Similarly, you can do it for the full batch. You can do it for employee. You can do it for department of the employee. You can broadcast the message to all the users of Fedena. You can even view the logs. So what SMS is sent to what user? So you can see I just created a student in Fedena and this is the SMS that it tried to send because I had enabled SMS settings. So student admission done. Username is this and password is this. This is automatic SMS sending. For an employee, it would be like this. If I admit an employee, the message would be like this. Joining info for the name of the employee. Username is this. Password is this. Please change your password after logging in. So these are the automatic SMS that you see here. So this is fully about configuration. Next thing in the flow that we should be doing is admitting employees. So I have to go to human resource and again do some settings before admitting an employee. So I'm going inside setting and here I have to add the employee category. So this is simple. It is just denoting that what all categories do you want to put an employee into. For example, is he a teacher? So I've created this employee category by giving it a name teaching, prefix and status. Whenever you see status in Fedena, it means do you want it to appear in the related forms. If you have selected it active, it will appear. If you selected it inactive, it will not appear. If there was some related information, it will not be shown. So this way you have to create so many categories like I've created for housekeeping, for security, for temporary wardens, contract basis and so on. This can be created because this has to be done because in the employee admission form, it is going to ask me the category of the employee. It is a mandatory field. So I have to categorize an employee into one of the categories. Similarly for the position. Position is in the category teaching that you just created, what is the position that you want to offer? So is he a lecturer? Is he a professor? Is he a head of department, junior, senior, mid-level, and so on? So I've already created these positions here. So they can be created for a particular category. And the third thing is employee department. So department can be subject based. So I'm creating a department called English, and I'm going to put all the teachers that teach English in it. So that is one way of dividing the employees. Another way is it can be more generic, like you can create a department called academics. Another department called sports. So any way that suits you, you can create those kind of departments. So I've created them subject-wise. Then we have employee grade. Grade of the employee is like, you need to give a name, you need to give some priority, how many maximum periods or maximum classes per day grade 1 employee can take. What we are doing is, we are saying here that grade 1 employee can take maximum 1 class per day and maximum 4 classes per week. So this is grade 1. In the same way, I can create another grade, grade 2. Priority denotes the seniority level of the employee. Lower the priority, more will be the seniority level. So here, grade 1 employee whose priority was 1 is more senior than grade 2 employee. It is just a representation. In the employee admission form, it is going to ask what is the grade of the employee. So I can select accordingly. And grade should be selected for teaching department employees. Why? Because we are entering maximum periods per day and maximum period per week. And this means the employee is a teacher. Then only this maximum period concept makes sense for the employees. So after you've added employee grade, the next thing is to add the payroll category. So payroll category is the components that you see in the payslip of the employees of your institution. For example, it can be a fixed component. So you can give that name here, fixed or basic salary or any meaningful name. And since it is a fixed component, you do not have to give anything in percentage or percentage off. And since it is an income, you do not have to select as deduction. So this is how you create fixed components. You can create as many you want to. If there is a dependent component, you have to give what percentage is it dependent on and what component is it dependent on. So 8% of basic salary. And since it's not a deduction, you don't have to take this. In case you have a deduction, for example, PF, 12% of basic salary and it's a deduction. So this is how you'll have to put. So this is how you create the payroll components of the employees. Earnings would be appearing like this, deductions would be appearing like this. Right now we are just creating a template. We are not filling the amounts. Amounts we are going to fill while admitting this employee. So after that, we have add bank detail. So if in the admission form, I want to take the bank details of the employee, This would be helpful when you want to check what is the account number where you want to issue the salary. This is only for record keeping. This will be appearing in the profile of the user. So you just have to give a name, what you want, and what is the status. So this way, other bank details can also be asked. So we are just creating fields. And like we did for student, we also have for employee, add additional detail. So if we want, let's say, the passport number of the employee along with the other things that are asked in Fedena, we can create this. Now this vehicle, if I try to delete it, it'll show you a message unable to delete. Why? Because it had a dependent component. It means that I might have already filled in some data for this component for some employees. So you cannot delete additional detail like this. If you do not want it to appear in the form, you can make them inactive. Just an extra information that I'm giving you regarding active and inactive. So you'll not be able to delete the fields that have data for few employees. So after you've done all these, you will have to admit an employee now. So you have to go to employee management, employee admission, and this form is going to appear. If you're admitting employee for the first time, the employee number will be E1. Since this is my 28th employee, you can see it shows employee number of the last employee is E27, and I've ticked auto increment in settings. It is showing E28. I can put the rest of the details, so let me enter an employee. And other details, it is asking for department, category, and position. So here I need to select the department that I've already created. So let me put him in this department. What is the category? What is the category? So let's say he's a teacher. And what is the position? So let's say he's a lecturer. And then what is the grade? Let's say he's a grade 2 employee, denoting that he will be able to take maximum periods 2 in a day and maximum period 6 in a week. That is what I've set in grade 2. Other details can also be put. Then it is asking for bank details. So these are the fields that I created. So it is showing these fields. Appropriate data should be put here. And after this, it is asking for additional details. So you can see I created passport number as an additional detail, so it is appearing here. And then it is asking for the privileges that I can set for this employee. Now, privilege would mean it is going to enable, let's say I select general settings here. So it is going to enable this link, general settings, for this employee, Girish. If I select manage course batch also, it is going to allow him to create courses and batches. If I select subject master, it is going to allow him to add subjects for the batch. If I select SMS management, it is going to enable the SMS module link that I just told you about. So each of these fields, each of these functionalities that you see here, you can tick them depending on what do you want this employee to be able to see when he logs in Fedena. So let me save the privileges for this employee. The next thing it asks is, what is the manager of this employee? Who is the manager of this employee? Now this is important when you want to allow this employee, Girish, to be able to apply for leaves using his Fedena. If you want that functionality, you must have a manager for this employee. Now what I have is, I already have entered some employee in Fedena, and let me assign that employee as manager of this employee. So whenever this Girish is going to apply for leave, it will go to this manager for approval. So now you will see that I added payroll categories in settings. Those categories are appearing here. Now in case the fixed component is basic salary, so let me enter some amount. So when I'm entering this amount, if this is the fixed component, all the other dependent components will be automatically getting filled up. It is loading, so just give it a minute. So all the fixed components you'll have to add, and all the dependent components that I created, you can see they appeared automatically. So in case your payroll of the employee has only fixed component, then you can ignore this part because you will not have it in your payroll structure. This has to be done for each and every employee while you are adding him. So after adding payroll, it is going to create the profile of this employee. And then we are going to see how this employee can log in Fedena. So you can see the profile of the user is created. Now as it is for the student, student can log in using admission number and password as admission number followed by 123. Similar is the case with employee. Employee can log in using employee ID as the username, so E28 followed by E28123 as the password. So let me log in as this employee now. So E28123 is the password, and for the first time it is going to ask me to change the password because that is what I have done in general settings. I have enabled first time login change password. So the first screen that I'm going to get after I log in is to change the password. So let's say I'm changing the password for this employee. And after you've changed, this is how Fedena will look like for that employee. And the links will appear based on what I have given him privileges. Since I have given him settings privilege, so all the settings are appearing for that employee. You can see I have not given him student admission privilege. So I don't see student admission anywhere, unlike admin. So let me log in back as an admin. Let me go to HR. So we have done adding an employee. The next thing we are going to do is employee subject association. So we need to associate the employees with the subjects. It means that we need to say what all employees who are teachers will be teaching in what batch and what subject. So I have to select the batch from here. So let's say this is a batch, and the subjects in this batch are going to appear normal subject as well as elective subject. So let me select biology. And who do I want to assign biology? So let me select this department and assign one of the employees, or more than one can also be assigned. So let me assign this employee. It means that this is the employee who's going to take biology in this batch. I can assign one more. So these two employees are going to take biology in this batch. So this has to be done for each and every batch and for each and every subject in that batch. This has to be done because while creating timetable, it is going to help us assign the teachers accordingly. So once this is done, the next thing is employee leave management. So we can add the types of the leaves for the employees first. For example, I've already added a leave called, let me show you, sick leave. So just have to give the name of the leave, the code, and what is the maximum leave count that the employee should be able to take. It means the employee will be able to take maximum 3 sick leaves in a period of some duration. That can be 1 month, that can be 2 months, 3 months, and so on. And that duration we set in reset leave reset settings. So the duration you set it here. It is a different settings. It is a different settings because it is applicable to all the types of leave. So it is done differently and not while creating the leave type. So what I've done here is I'm saying that starting this date, starting 1st of September, for a period of 4 months, employee should be able to take 3 sick leaves. And enable automatic reset would mean after these 4 months are complete, 3 leaves will be added to the balance of the employee. So you automatically want to reset after the 4 months are complete. After every 4 months, it is automatically going to reset the count for the employee. And if you do not want to do this setting of enabling automatic reset, you do not have to fill all these then. In that case, you can either reset manually. Now manually you can do it in 3 ways. You can reset for all the employees. So it will happen today, the date on which you are doing it. You can reset department wise, so for a particular department, or you can reset for an individual employee. So it is going to ask you the name of the employee, find the employee, and reset the leave for that employee. So these 3 possibilities are there in case you want to manually reset. Otherwise, you can automatic reset from here by selecting the period and by selecting the begin date. And these leave reset settings are applicable for all the types of leaves that you create. So after this, I'm going to tell you about attendance register. So this is when admin is marking attendance for the employees. So there are 2 possibilities in Fedena. The first possibility is employee is applying for a duration of leave. So employee will be able to apply from his profile. The application will go to the manager. Once manager approves, it will be automatically marked absent here. By default, everyone is present in Fedena. If you want to mark them absent, then only you have to come to the register. So the blank cells that you see here, it means the employees are present. If I want to mark an employee absent for a particular date, let's say I want to I want to make Casey absent for Tuesday, which is today. I'm going to click on the cell, and it is going to ask me what is the type of leave that she's availing. So let's say it's a casual leave. What is the reasons of absence? So we can give a proper reason. And is it a half day? Half day would mean 0.5 of the leave would be deducted. So once you do this, it will be denoting by this cross sign saying that this employee is absent on this date. So once you've done this, you can even view the report. So I'm going to select the department, and it is showing me what is the type of leave. So all the five type of leaves that I've created are appearing here, and for each leave type, who has availed how many leaves. So this is about employee leave management. Then, as a member of HR, I can create pay slips. Till now, I have just created a template for each employee. I am not generating the pay slip for that employee. So this link here, create pay slip, is going to give me an option to select an employee and generate the pay slip for him. This is one way of doing it, where you have to search each and every employee, create his pay slip for a particular month. Second way of doing it is one-click payslip generator. So it is going to generate for a particular month for all the employees at once. So let me show you about select employee first. So you have to select the department. You have to select the employee for which you want to generate the payslip. And while admitting, what all details you have put will appear like this. Now in case for this employee you want to cut some amount from his salary, which is only dependent on this employee, you can add that particular here. For example, I can have something like loss of pay and amount as this, it is a deduction. If I want to give this employee a bonus, I can give that amount also. I need not select this because it's an income, it's an earning. So in this way, individual categories can also be added. So here you will see that when I'm looking at the payslip, it is having here a salary date, which is very important. Based on the salary date, it means that in December, I'm generating the salary for couple, for this employee. So here, month is very important. For a month, you can generate a payslip only once. You can generate payslip for a previous month if it is not already generated. You can generate it for coming months. That is also possible. So in the starting of the academic year, you can generate all the payslips for the months, but they have to be approved every time in the starting or when you want to issue the salary. So there are two concepts here. First is generation of payslip that we are doing here. The second is approval of payslip. That has to be done by the member of finance department. So let me create this payslip and I'll show you how it can be approved now. So generation of payslip is done by a member of HR and approval of payslip is done by a member of finance. So you have to give them privileges accordingly so that these links of HR and finance appear for those employees. So I'm going to finance. And here you will see this payslip. You have to click on this. And here I can click on view payslip. Select the month. And you can see for this employee, it is saying that the payslip status is pending. So I can view it. So all the particulars will appear like this. You can see all the loss of pay and bonus is appearing as an earning, loss of pay is appearing as a deduction. Now as a member of finance, I can either approve it or reject it. If I reject it, you will see that this rejected payslip is going to go back to HR. HR has to edit the payslip and issue it again. So that is what happened in case you reject the payslip as a member of finance. If you approve the payslip, this amount cannot be reverted back. So approval of payslip has to be done very carefully because approval of payslip cannot be reverted back. So let me approve it, and we have to give a proper comment. And then I'll go to the HR and I can see the status of the payslip by selecting that month, and it is going to show me for who all it is approved and for who all it is pending. So this is how payslips can be generated and approved. Generation is done by a member of HR, approval is done by a member of finance. In case there are any rejections by the finance person, it is going to come in rejected employee, this link. So when I click on it, I'm going to select the department. If there is any rejection that is done for any of the department, that employee will come here. I have to click on it. It is going to show me the payslip and I can edit it and issue the payslip back, generate the payslip back, and again it will go to the member of finance who can approve or reject. So this is one of the ways in which you can generate payslip. Second way is one-click payslip generator, where you don't have to go to each and every employee's payslip and generate it. You can just generate all the payslips for a particular month. So this is about how payslips can be generated, and member of finance also has this option to approve the payslip in one click. Now once approval is done, revert is not possible. Once approval is not done, let's assume that approval is not done, in that case you are given an option to revert. So pending payslips will be reverted if you are using this option of one-click payslip revert. Approved payslips cannot be reverted in Fedena. So this is all about HR. Now we are going to move to, we are going to move to timetable. So how do we set the timetable of the students? So the first thing that we have to do is set the weekdays of the institution. So weekdays can be common for all the batches, or they can be dependent on a batch. So if they are common, so you can select it like this and save it. So all the batches will be following the common one. If it is different for a batch, you have to select that batch and tick the weekday that you want. So now this 5-6 days will be applicable only for the batch that I selected. For all the other batches, it will be common that will be applicable. The second thing that is to be done is set the class timings. So I'll show you what are class timings first. So this is an example of class timing. So the period 1, what is the start and end time? Period 2, what is the start and end time, and so on. And this is applicable for all the weekdays. So for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, period 1 will always happen on 9:30. and end time 10:30. Period 2, 10:30 to 11:30, and then you also have a break. So how to create this class timing? You have to go to this class timing sets and click on new. When you click on new, it is only going to ask you for the name. So you can give a name based on a batch, just for better readability. So after you've done that, it is going to appear like this. You have to click on class timings. It will be empty for the first time. You have to click on add, and it is going to show you like this. You have to enter these data. So you have to give period 1, start time, end time, is it a break or not? Period 2, period 3, as many periods you have in a particular day. You have to set it here. After you've set this, you have to go to manage class timing sets back. You have to select a class timing and assign this class timing that you just created to the batches who are going to follow that timetable, who are going to follow period 1, 9:30 to 10:30, period 2, period 3, lunch. So there can be more than one batches who follow the same class set, class timing set. So you can select like this and you can assign them like this. You have to click on the arrow here. If you've done a mistake, you can select them like this and assign them back to available batches. So this is about class timings. The next thing after doing class timing is we have to create timetable. Now creation of timetable is done for a particular duration. So let's say I've selected some duration. I'm going to make it from tomorrow. So from tomorrow for till 6th, I'm creating a timetable for the students. This timetable will be applicable for all the students. So I've created this timetable structure. Now if I go to edit timetable, I will see that the period appears like this. All others are appearing because I've already created them. They'll not be appearing for you. When you click on it, you'll be given an option to edit entries. Click on this. When you click on edit entries, all the batches that follow that timetable or all the batches whose start and end date falls between the start and end date of the timetable will automatically appear here. So I have to select a batch, and this is how the timetable will appear for the batch. You can see this is the class timing set that I might have assigned to this batch. That is why it is coming like this. And these are the weekdays that I've assigned for this batch. So the empty timetable will appear. All the subjects of that batch will appear. And in employee subject association, you might have selected the batch, you might have selected the subject, and you might have assigned this employee for this subject for this batch. That is why this employee is appearing. So employee subject association is mandatory to be done before creating timetable. So let me say that science should happen in all these cells that I am clicking. So you can see they have become yellow here. And now what I have to do is I have to drag and drop this rectangular box with the name of the employee in one of the cells. Once I do that, it is showing the code of the subject, which is science 1, and who is the employee who is taking that subject, and what is the time period in which that subject is happening, what is the date and the day. So in this way, you have to select another subject Now if employee subject association is done, that employee will appear. You have to select some cells and assign this employee. So it is going to appear like this. In this way, timetable is to be created. In case you've forgotten the employee subject association of one of the subjects, you are also given that link here. So you can do it from here as well. After you've done this, after you've created a timetable for all the batches, you can view the timetable and get a PDF of it by going to View Timetable here. So I can get a PDF of it. And then we have teacher timetable. So for this timetable duration, who is the teacher and when is he taking what class? So this is automatically created after you create the timetable. So this is the timetable of the teacher. So after this, there is institutional timetable, which is telling you for a particular date what all batches are having what all classes in your institute. So it is telling fully. So this is institutional timetable. Now before moving on to timetable tracker and classroom allocation, you can go to work allotment. And work allotment is similar to employee subject association. For example, for this batch G5A 2014, I have done employee subject association for Veena and Darcy for maths, Kapil for chemistry and Kiran for physics. So this part is similar. On the right hand side, what you see is telling you about how many periods the employee can yet take. For example, this employee Anita, she can take 4 more periods. This is coming based on the grade of the employee and the subject that she is assigned to. 4 remaining means the employee can take 4 more. OK means this is perfect for that employee. And 4 deficit means the employee is taking 4 more than what he is supposed to take. So he is overworking. So this can also be helpful in managing the tasks or the number of sessions, number of classes that employee should be taking. So this is about work allotment. Then we have timetable tracker. So timetable tracker has the swap timetable option, which should be used when you want to swap the details, when you want to swap the period details of one employee to another. For example, let me just show you. Just give it a minute. It's loading. So in timetable, we have to go to timetable tracker and swap timetable. And here the batch will appear. And if I have assigned any timetable, so let me select a date for which I have a timetable. So this is a timetable that is applicable for this batch for today. And let's say this employee will not be able to take this chemistry because he's absent. Let's say that employee is absent. So we need to find a replacement for this employee. So we can click on change and we can select a department. So let's say I'm selecting chemistry and I'm assigning this employee, instead of Kapil, I'm assigning this employee who will be able to take chemistry. So this is a last moment substitution or the replacement that you do in the timetable. And all these swapped details will be available in timetable report. You can see for a particular duration, you can see that this employee has taken one less periods than he was given because he was replaced by someone. We can even view the details from here. So this is about timetable tracker. Then we have classroom allocation. So we can manage buildings. Manage buildings is like creating buildings where your classes will happen. For example, I've created a building called West Block. You just have to give a name. And in this building, I can add rooms. So when I click on this, it is going to give me an option to add room. And here I can give a room name and capacity. So how many students can this room take? So in this way, I've created two rooms, W1 and W2. And after you've created buildings and rooms, you have to allocate batches to them. Now allocation can be done weekly, which means you have to allocate once and it is going to repeat for all the days till your timetable is there. For example, I'm going to select weekly, and for this timetable duration, let's say this timetable was for 15 days. So for the first week, I'm going to set it from Monday to Friday, and for the next week, it is going to be same from Monday to Friday, what I've set. So weekly means repetition weekly, date specific means repetition monthly. So I have to set it for the 30 days of the month and it is going to appear for all the following months. So you can do it either way. I'm going to show you weekly. So it is showing that this is the batch, this is the subject on Monday, and what is the building that I want it to happen in, what is the room, I have to drag that room and drop it on that. So this will be allocated. I have to do this till Friday. Once I've done it till Friday, it is going to repeat for the next week and so on till the timetable duration ends. So this is how you can do classroom allocation. This is about timetable. Now I'm going to move to student attendance. So you can go to academics and attendance. And here attendance register is there. You have to select the batch. The students of this batch will appear. Let me select a batch which has more than one student. And again, as I told you in Fedena, all the students and the employees are present by default. If they are absent, you have to mark them absent. So let's say this student is there, user 6, who I want to mark absent for today. So I have to click on the cell, give a reason, and select whether the student is absent for the full duration of the day or afternoon, forenoon, and it is going to denote it here with a cross. If every time I do not want to put the reason, I can click on this rapid attendance, and wherever I'm going to click, it is going to mark that student absent. As you can see, it is not asking for reason now. Then, like employees, we can get the report. We can get it monthly or overall. So it shows total number of days since the student has started in the batch and what is the percentage of attendance for that student. I can even put a filter and get the list of students accordingly. So this is about student attendance. Then I'm going to tell you about examination. So like any other module, we have to do settings in examination first. So we have to set the grading levels. So again, there are common grading levels that Fedena already provides. These are those grades. It means that if a student is scoring above 90%, his grade would be A. If a student is scoring between 80 to 90, it would be B. 70 to 80, C, and so on. If you do not want to have it like this, you can edit them or add your grades. If there is a grade that is different for a particular batch, you have to go to that batch. For example, I have it for one batch here, and you have to add them. So this grade set only belongs to this grade, this batch. Excuse me. Once you have set the grading levels, you have to set the ranking levels. Let's understand what are ranking levels. So I've created a ranking level here called top performer. This ranking level means that in minimum 4 subjects, if a student is scoring at least 95% marks, he will be called top performer in this course, Kindergarten 1. So a student will be called a top performer if in minimum 4 subjects he has at least 95% marks. So this is how you have to set ranking levels. I'll show you another one like high performer that I've created. So in minimum 2 subjects, the student is scoring at least 85%. We'll call that student high performer in this course. So this way ranking levels can be created. What is the use of this is that later on I can get reports based on these ranking levels that I've set. The third thing is class designation. So I'm selecting the course, and class designation, if you observe, it is similar to ranking level. The difference is that it does not ask you for the number of subjects. So what does this mean? It means a student will belong to first class in Kindergarten 1 if overall his marks are above 90. So this is about class designations. You can create class designations like this. Again, at a later stage, it is going to help us filter students based on second class, first class, and so on. So these will be helpful in reports. Now after doing settings, the next important thing is creating the exams. So you have to go to exam management. I have to select the course for which I want to create the exam. And it will be empty for you for the first time. You have to click on new. Give the name of the exam. So I'll just tell you a few scenarios. For example, you can have exam like unit test 1, unit test 2. So in a year, you have 2 exams, unit test 1, and the second exam is at the end, which is unit test 2. So that is the exam name that you have to give here, unit test 1. So let me give here, the other scenario would be, you have term 1, which is in the mid of the year, and that at the end you have term 2. And what do you want to show in the report card? Do you only want to show marks, only grades, or you want to show both marks and grades? So these 3 options are available. So for term 1, you can select what do you want to show in the report of that student. So let me select marks and grade. So once you create a new exam like this. It is going to show the subjects. It is going to ask you what is the maximum mark, what is the minimum mark. And now you are scheduling the exam for the students. You are saying that science, term 1 science exam will happen on, let's say 2nd, and on this time, 3:25 p.m. So in this way you can set the times and dates appropriately, and you can save it. So term 1 will appear like this here. In the same way you can create term 2. Let's assume you have created term 2 also. So it is going to appear here, term 2. Now you want to assign some weightages to the exams, because term 1, let's say it is 20% and term 2 is 80%. It can be any weightage. To assign the weightages, you have to click on this Connect Exams. And here, the total weightage of all the exam groups. So term 1, term 2, these are known as exam groups. They should be 100. So let me create something like this. In my case, let's assume that there are 4 tests that are happening in a year, and the weightage is 100, and the weightage is divided like this. So once you have done this, you have to now publish the exam schedule. Once you publish the schedule, the students will be able to see what is the exam and when is it happening in their calendar. So I will show you that here, for every user, there is this calendar feature that is available, calendar. And this is how the calendar appears. Now I'm creating an exam, and I'll show you where it will automatically appear here. So let me just publish this exam schedule. After publishing only, the exam will appear. So now the exam schedule is published. So now here, as a student and as an employee, as a student, I'll be able to see, you can see on the right hand side, what all exams are applicable to me for 2nd of December. So this is what happens when you do publishing of exam schedule. Calendar module is applicable for employees, for students, and for the parents. So calendar changes as you publish an exam. So after you have done that, let's assume that the student has written the test. So let's say he got 90, Denver got 90 in science, and I'm just putting some data here based on what marks they got. Grade will automatically appear as per the grading level that you set in the settings. Similarly, I have to do it for the other subject. I can also enter remarks here. So these remarks will be appearing for each of the student in their report. So they should also be entered appropriately. And then I can publish the exam result. So once I publish the exam result, students will be getting a notification about their result. So after, let's say we have done all this, all the exams results are published, we have connected the exams by giving them proper weightages. Now we can see the reports. Before going to Report Center, you have to click on Generate Reports. Select the batch for which you want to see the reports, click on Generate. Generation of report is going to take some time because it deals with a lot of students in a batch. It deals with a lot of marks, with a lot of weightages. So it is shown here as a scheduled job. So since it is complete, so it is not appearing here. So let me go to reports now, and we'll be able to see the reports for the course for which I just generated the report. So these are few reports that are available. So I'm going to show you a few of these reports. For example, exam-wise report. So I can select the exam group and I can view the report for each student. So for term 1, what are the marks that he obtained? What are the grades? What is the class average? What are the class average marks? So this graph is also shown for that user. I can enter remarks which will be particular for this student. So these are the general remarks for term 1. Then we have subject wise. So for each exam group that I had in a year, marks in science for each user. Then we have student ranking per batch. So what is the rank of the student in a batch? Then we have transcript. So this is overall in all the terms, term 1, term 2. So in science, what is the combined percentage? And if any remarks are added by the science teacher. So the employee associated with the subject will be able to add remarks here. General remarks can also be added like the way I have done here. So head of department has remarked done well on this date. They can also be edited by the person who has remarked. So these are few reports. Other reports can also be searched. So this is about exams. Let's see what other modules are left now. So we have this remarks module where I can give the progress report or the progress remarks to the student. This will only be available, this will only be visible to the student. So I am giving some custom remarks. For example, for this batch, there is some activity that happened today. Let's say some project assignment that happened today. And let's say I'm remarking as a class teacher. So I'm saying that, let's say for this student, I'm saying that you have done well. So for these students in their profile, so let me show you for user 27. Let me log in as user 27. And under remarks, he will be able to see that this is the remark, what all remarks are given by what all teachers, and on what subject, what is the remark. So these will be available for the students that you want to give. So that is the remark module. It is newly added for Fedena 3.3. Then we have event creation. So we can create an event. Event can be a normal event that is happening, for example, Christmas celebrations, Teachers' Day celebration, and so on. Or it can be a holiday that you want to declare in Fedena. So let me show you that. So you have to select the start and end date. You have to give it some title. So let's say it's Christmas celebration. You can give some appropriate description because it is going to go as an event to all the users in Fedena or the users that you select. Event can be common to all, or it can be for few employees, few students, or only employees, only students. If it is a holiday, you can select this is holiday. The use of doing this is holiday is that attendance will be affected in Fedena. So for this date on which you have selected it as a holiday, you'll not be able to mark absent, or you'll not be able to mark anything in attendance. Attendance will be disabled. So let's say this event is not common to all. In that case, you have to click on this create event and you have to select for which batch do you want to have this event for. You can even select employees, so you have to select the department. Once you've done that and once you confirm it, you can see that in the calendar, this event is appearing. I've marked it as a holiday. I've ticked that. So it is showing in green. You can see the labels here. You can edit or delete the event also. So this is about the calendar. From calendar also you can add events. So you have to go to the calendar and you will see for a particular date, you will see this add option. When you click on it, the same form that I just showed you will appear. So this is about event creation. After this we have news. So news can be created by anyone and it will be visible to all and anyone can comment. Just give it a minute. It is loading. So here news is here. And I can click on add. I can give it a title and some content and publish it. So once I've done that, let me just show you. So it'll appear like this for all the users and anyone can leave a comment. So this is about news. Then we have reports. So these are some reports that are available in Fedena. So let me show you like course report. So it is telling you what all courses are running. What are the batches? How many students are there? Male students and female students. So for each batch, it is telling you the batch details. All the students in Fedena. All the employees in Fedena. We can see the employee subjects association details from here. So what employee is taking what subject in what batch. Payroll details of the employees can we see. So all the components will appear like this. Then we can see who all students have not paid till now in the full institution. So wherever you see balance, it means they have not paid the amount. So all these students have not paid these much amounts. And then the last thing that we are yet to do is finance. So finance, first we have to create fees. So first we are going to create a template. It's like we want to say, I'll just give you a scenario. We'll say that fees for this batch. That is a category that I'm going to create. For example, I'm going to create like fees for so for grade 2, I want to create a fee structure. So I'm just giving that structure a name. It can also be same for many batches, so you can select those batches like this. After you've created this master category, you're just giving a name. The next step is to create particulars in this fee. It means that what all do you want to take as a fees from student. For example, you can have tuition fees, you can have registration fees, you can have application fees and so on. So you have to click on this create particulars, select the category that you just created and give it a particular, for example, tuition fees. And now this tuition fees, you can have it for all the students by admission number. So you have to give the admission number of the students separated by a comma, or it can be for a student category. So let me select for all. Let's say 200 is the amount of tuition fee that I am taking from all the students of G2A 2014. In this way, I can add more categories if they are applicable. Then I can create discount. So as I told you, let's assume that I want to give 100 discount for the students who are staff children. So I have to give the discount by student category, so I can select it. You can give it to the whole batch or you can give it by student, only by one student. So I'm selecting student category. It is going to ask what is the fee category. Student category is staff children. Name, so let me give a name like discount for staff children. And I can mention the discount as a percentage of total fee or as an amount. And the last thing that I have to do here is to create fines. It means you are going to set collection dates, the start and end date of fees when the student should be paying you the fees. Now let's say the student has exceeded the due date of fees collection. In that case, you can set some fine amount. So it is asking about days after due date and amount in percentage or amount of fine. So you can set it. You can keep on adding slabs. So 1 day, 2 days, 3 days and so on. And this due date, I'm going to set it next. So now I'm going to go to schedule fee collection. I have done create fees. Now I'm going to schedule that fee collection for the students of the batch for which I created this fee structure. So I'm selecting this fee category. Let me call it collection for academic year 2014 for G2. I can select the category of fine if I want to apply it on this collection. What is the start date, what is the end date and what is the due date can be selected. Fine will be applicable after due date. So once I have done this, I can collect the fees from the students. Now students can pay full amount at once or partial amount. Both options are there. So let me show you both the options. So I have to select the batch here. I have to select the fee collection. So the student will appear like this. Let me show you for the student who has not paid. So this student, you can see the particulars will appear. Since the student has exceeded the due date, it is automatically applying fine, and this is the amount to pay for the student. Now the student has to come to the admin to pay the amount, or the other way is if online payment plugin is enabled in Fedena, then the student will be able to pay online. Otherwise, he has all these options: cash, online payment, here means cards, debit card, check, demand draft, or any other option. So this payment mode is going to appear in the receipt of the student. So this is one way. Another way is particular wise. So as I told, if the student is paying partially, he is not paying the full amount, he wants to pay partially. So this is how it is going to appear. So these are the particulars, and how much amount does that student is that student paying for a particular. So this is also possible. So next time he will be shown this is the paid amount and this is the amount to pay. So this is the left amount to be paid. I can also see all these details at one place by going to students fees headwise report, which tells me that for a particular batch, which student has paid how much and how much is left to be paid. For example, this student has zero amount to pay and has this much paid amount for this fee collection. So all these details you are going to get it under student fees headwise report in finance. You can also see the report collection wise and student wise. So for a particular student, it shows what are the fee collections that are applicable, what is the paid amount, and what is the amount to be left to be paid. Then we can view the fee structure by going to fee structure. We can see the list of students who have not paid the fees till now for a particular batch. So these are the students, these are the defaulters who have not paid the fees. We can create fees refund. Fees refund is when you want to return a part of the fees, a percentage of the fees back to the student after he has paid it. For example, I have created a refund rule. Let me create it. Let's say it is for the collection that I have just created. Let's call it special year-end refund. Refund validity means starting which date you should be able to issue this refund to the student. And refund is always in terms of percentage. It's not a fixed amount currently in Fedena. So I'm saying 2% of what the student has paid for this collection. So I can apply refund for the student. So that refund will be coming like this. So this is the amount that he has paid, and I want to return him, I want to refund him this amount, which is 2% of this. Since I have already refunded it, that is why it is showing as amount refunded. Otherwise, it's going to show you a button here asking to pay. So pay the student back. So after this fees, we have done the fees completely. We have finance reports. So report can be shown within a particular duration. So it is showing you, it is tracking all these things automatically. Let me just show you. For better understanding, I am changing it back to 1. So it is showing what these 3 particulars that you see here are tracked by Fedena automatically. So whenever you do a donation in Fedena, we can do donations as well. I'll show you that after this. If you have a salary account or if you are issuing salary, approving salary for employees, it will be automatically added here as an expense. If you are taking fees from the student, if the student has paid, it is automatically going to get added here. So these 3 are automatically tracked in Fedena. In case you want to track something else besides these 3 particulars, you have to go to category here. And you can see those 3, which was fee, salary, and donation, are automatically tracked. They are not editable. I can create my own, like I have created this stationery charges, which is an income to my institution. So let's say I'm selling pens and I'm getting the stationery charges and an income, and I want it to be reflected in reports. So after I've created this category, I can have a transaction in that category. So let's say I want to add income under stationery charges that I just created. Let's say it's amount that I got from pens. I can set that amount here, and today is when I got it. So you will see that when I go to finance report for today, it is going to show that amount. It is showing some extra amount as well because I have done 2 transactions today. 400 I have done earlier, so it is showing. So this is how you can track categories. You can add expenses or incomes by going to transactions. Then I'm going to tell you about automatic transactions. So automatic transaction would mean for the incomes that you have in Fedena. So donation is one income which is tracked. Second income is one you created in category, which is stationery charges. For these incomes, you want to levy some tax. In that case, that tax, you can create it as an automatic transaction. It means whenever I do a donation using Fedena, 5% of the amount that I get will be cut as a tax, and I'm going to get the rest 95%, which will be reflected in the finance reports. So let me do a donation now, and we can see how it is affecting Fedena. So let me give some donor name, amount, let's have it 100, and I'm adding it for today. So if you go to finance reports, select the date as today, donation will be coming as 190. I've already done one donation on 100, which it has cut 5% as tax. So it is showing like this, and the one that I did just now. So it is showing 190 as a total one. So this is the automatic transaction that has happened. 5% of deduction of tax. Then I've told you about payslip. Payslip is where a member of finance approves the payslips that are generated by the HR person. Then we have asset liability management. Here assets can be managed. For example, you have equipments, lab equipments, or you have furniture. So you can create assets like that. You have to give the name. You have to give the amount that is spent on it. The difference between asset liability management and adding incomes and expenses is that these assets and liabilities are tracked separately in Fedena. This amount will not be added in finance reports. This has to be tracked separately. So this is fully about finance. So this is the last thing that we are doing, which is user. So here I can add another admin in Fedena. So we can have more than one admin in Fedena. So you have to give the username. So let me give like user admin3. I have to give the password. So let me say admin3 123. I have to give the first name, the personal email ID, and the last name can also be given. So now this admin3 will have same privileges as admin has it in Fedena. So just creating a replica. So more than one admin can be created in Fedena like this. Another thing here is that while admitting an employee, you are setting the privileges. Now let's say you want to modify the privileges of an employee. So you have to search that employee here, click on this name of the employee. You can change the password of the employee. You can edit his privilege. So both options are there. So let me edit the privilege. So already the privileges that are selected for that employee will appear. You can deselect them or select the new ones as per your requirement, and you can save it. So this is fully about the core modules of Fedena that we have done.